Patrick, how are you? Welcome back. What's going on with you?
Not a huge amount. I mean, it really closed down now, so I sneak out and buy food, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't check the mail. And exercise at home, that's the real thing.
How's the exercise, and what exercises are you doing?
I've got an exercise physiologist because I've been looked after.
Mm-hmm.
I've got quite a formal program.
Yeah.
Fair amount of fairly light stretching, lifting, pushing my body around a bit.
You thought about doing yoga? Because I do yoga.
I have, but in some ways, some exercises are yoga-istic.
Yeah.
There are a few. In fact, there are a few of the moves are in fact what would make it regarded as yoga moves.
Yeah.
Yoga stretches.
Yes. Yoga's good for the mind, body, and soul, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, I did a bit previously with its cousin from China, which is the Tai Chi.
Yeah, Tai Chi's nice.
It's slow, which is very slow. Now, this actually is slightly more strenuous.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I do actually quite physical work with it. I actually, lift weights and step ups and things like this.
Yeah, I do a lot of body weight workout, like trying to do pull-ups, doing me push-ups.
Yeah, all these kind of things that just keep me going.
No, you've got to keep fit, Patrick, especially when you get older, you know.
Hang on. What do you mean you're getting older? I mean, you're not getting... I suppose you are getting older.
No, I mean...
Yeah, that's true. You are getting older, but really...
I mean, like, I see younger men probably in their 60s already in a cradle, Patrick. Because they don't look after...
There are a lot of people around who makes me feel quite glad that I am still quite flexible and quite moving.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Keep up with it.
I had too many years carrying too much weight.
Yeah, what? Look, the heaviest I weighed was 83 kilos. What about you?
Oh, 115.
Shit! You're a heavyweight.
Exactly. I was ridiculously overweight. Basically, what happened was when I knocked off work, I stopped looking after myself for about a year, and I long time and just didn't get back. Yeah. And eventually decided to do something about it, so I spoke to the doctor, and he sent me along to a dietitian and exercise physiologist.
Yeah.
And,
good on you.
I won't say I haven't looked back because I kind of stalled a couple of times, but basically look after the food, look after the exercise, and slowly getting better.
That's it, you know. Yeah, because all these little things creep up on you as you get older, Patrick.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not getting much older yet.
It's like, you can look after yourself and eat healthy, but yet you can still get sick. I don't get it.
Oh, well, I mean, there's a hell of a lot more to health than your diet and your things, because the body's a complex machine, and you get bugs. And all the body can do is, if you are healthy, the body will fight most bugs better than if you're not healthy otherwise. Mm-hmm. But even if you are the healthiest person in the world, something like the current nasty things like the flu bugs, these viruses, it'll get you.
Oh yeah.
These bugs will get you. I mean, most bugs will get you if you are normally healthy and fit. Mm-hmm. Because that's what bugs do.
Oh yeah.
They have great fun just lying and saying, "I'm going to get you."
Well, speaking about bugs, I'm actually booked in for the AstraZeneca vaccine, Patrick, up at me GP.
Oh, good heavens! After all the bloody issues you had.
Yeah, they just told me, yeah, you can get it.
Well, I mean, you're young-ish, but not too young. Mm-hmm. You're basically healthy, and nowadays, the doctor will give you a little spiel and a bit of paper, and if you just watch out for the next few weeks, and if you don't get really crooked, then you're all right.
What happens if you get crooked?
They take you to hospital and they fix you.
Yeah.
The only thing is, That's the really quick. I'm talking about this infamous blood clotting.
Ah, yep.
Nowadays, provided you look after yourself, now watch how you're going. The blood clot hasn't killed anybody for yonks because they know it, except the people who haven't had it diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
If they pick it up, in other words, if you show them, if you know you've got it or you have any of the symptoms, you're right. They can catch you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, it's one of these things that snuck up on people.
Mm.
The first time around, they didn't know what it was. So they weren't prepared to treat it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they know what to look out for. Oh, they say, this is a pity. This fellow's got the nasty. We will treat it.
Will they still give you a second vaccine even if you get a blood clot?
Oh, no way in the world.
So what do? You can't get it, can't you?
They'll give you the Pfizer.
Ah.
I mean, I'll give you something. You'll give you the other one. If you get the blood clot, then no, they're not going to risk it again.
Yeah, look, I should be fine, Patrick.
Look, most people are. And the other thing is, if you get the other kind of unpleasant side effects, you get a bit crook in your body, aches and pains and things.
Yep.
All that really means is that the vaccine is doing its job.
Yep.
Because basically the vaccine and your body is overreacting a bit to it.
Yep.
The body is because the vaccine is designed to make you fight off the disease.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, most of the aches and the pains you get from the disease are from the body fighting it off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's weird thing. Most of the reactions you get are, in fact, the body's reaction to it rather than the disease itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strangely complicated relationship.
I've booked a consultation with my GP and I'll have a chat with him beforehand and see what he says.
And he'll talk to you about the risks.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll talk to you about what to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about your underlying physiology because there are some people whose underlying physiology makes it very unrecommended.
Yes.
I don't know about yours because, that's your business.
Exactly.
So, but your GP has your record, he knows you, and really it is a matter of really close monitoring for about 5 weeks.
Yep.
And if you do that, then you'll be right.
Yeah, look, I think I'll be right. Do you think Australia will get the Johnson & Johnson and the Moderna?
The Moderna's is already on order.
Oh, okay.
Apparently. Well, one of the other ones, I think it's not on the note, one of these ones is actually on order.
Yeah.
But they're all, they're all variations of the theme.
Is the Moderna 2 shots you got to get?
I don't know. I haven't really looked at it. I'm not sure what type it is.
Mm.
I think it's another mRNA, which makes it a 2-shotter.
But see, the Johnson & Johnson's just one.
Yeah, but they're having serious trouble with it, apparently.
Oh.
Apparently there's some kind of hassles with it.
What could be the hassles?
Oh, side effect type hassle, apparently, again.
Yeah.
Again, this is something that I kind of noticed. I would not be guaranteed that it's accurate. Please don't quote me on it.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere I came across a reference that I can recall to there being minor hassles with it. Again, nothing huge. Probably no worse than with the... like all of these things, unfortunately, this is one of these slightly corny things.
Mm-hmm.
We are, when they talk about testing, they had the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 testing.
Yeah.
We are really in a huge phase 3 test.
Yes.
A worldwide phase 3 test. Because you can't really see what a vaccine or anything like this does, ultimately, until you bang it out in the wild and see what it really does. And you test it with a few thousand people, and it goes well, but the nasties with the Astra didn't show out until 1 in 100,000 or something. and then it's tested on 20,000 people.
Yeah.
So their sample size wasn't quite big enough to pick up this very rare effect. The tests pick up probable effects.
Yeah.
And after that, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, look, I just hope I'll be fine, Patrick.
You should be, mate. And as I said when you spoke to me last week, if the doctor advises you don't do it, don't do it.
Yep.
If he says you're okay, you're okay.
That's it.
And either way, if not, otherwise, then, because of this whole symptoms about having to get a test and things, that's another story.
Yeah, we can talk about that on the podcast. So I was booked in for my Pfizer vaccine with Sonic Healthcare, Patrick.
Yeah.
And it takes like 20 minutes to get hold of someone on the phone with Sonic Healthcare. They're useless. So
I'm not going to buy into that one.
Anyway, went to Waminda Avenue. They turned me away. They told me because you're from the Liverpool Council area, you need to get a COVID test and wait 72 hours. And I was booked in. I had my paperwork. I had my health summary. And I was not happy.
Yeah, that was obvious when you rang me that day.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is that they're stuck with rules that are changing constantly.
Yeah.
But the problem was that they nobody actually thought, that maybe they should be doing some contacting themselves and letting you know.
Yeah.
Things like that. It's okay, because really they're only doing several hundred people that day, probably, maybe 100 people.
Yeah.
So it would not have been impossible for them to organise some kind of contact.
So the thing is, they're moving away on the 29th of August, which is frustrating.
Well, the thing is that because of the situation, they could probably give you a very fast appointment.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think once you spoke to them, I think they promised you virtually, once you got your test, an immediate appointment. To do the point. I mean, the thing is, the test actually, 3 days? What you do is you make the appointment, and then 4 days before the appointment, you get the test.
Mm-hmm.
That means that 3 days. 3 days before the appointment, you get the test. You get the result within those 3 days.
Mm. Frustrating.
It is frustrating, and it's really frustrating for somebody who's hard trying to do the right thing.
Mm. Yeah, look, it's the Prime Minister's saying to the media the AstraZeneca's safe, but the media keeps saying, blood clots and thrombosis, twisting the words around.
Thrombosis is another word for blood clot.
Yeah, and really just trying to brainwash people, scare people, Patrick.
Well, it's not so much brainwashing, it is the fact that it's a story.
Mm.
A newspaper sells stories. They're not trying to sell a message.
Mm.
It is not a message that they are giving about they're not saying don't get the vaccine or it's bad. It's story. They're not selling a message.
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing is they're selling the story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem is that the situation that we're in now is not one where we should be telling a news story.
Mm.
We should be telling the news.
Exactly, because there's a lot...
Because the thing is, newspapers sell on stories. A nice, exciting story. Particularly since there are a lot of people who think they're experts around.
Mm. So
the newspaper look for an expert.
So half of these experts have no idea what they're going on about, Patrick.
Exactly. No, I carefully didn't say that.
And you get an epidemiologist on TV who's telling the truth, and they twist the words around from actual epidemiologists.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it is something that really is hard. And even the epidemiologists aren't necessarily the complete expert on the subject.
True.
This is the problem. the whole business with the Atagi they talked about, it had one job to do, really. It was created to do one job, which was look at the vaccines and weigh up the risks on the vaccines. Mm-hmm. That was it. And they then became the beating boy for all the decisions. Mm-hmm. I mean, the decisions were made on the fact that they said, no, this is enough, we should shut down, etc. But they didn't say you had to shut down. They don't say you had to close down the construction, for instance, although I think it's a good thing to do. Mm-hmm. Because when you think about construction workers, there are a lot of them moving around a lot of the city.
Well, I was driving today on Narellan Road and I saw council workers and construction workers working.
Well, provided you're working in your own local area.
They were, like...
You're allowed to work in your local area.
Gotcha.
The thing is, you're not allowed to leave the Campbelltown City Council area to go to work.
Yeah.
And also, some of this work would be regarded as essential.
Gotcha.
Because the roads have to be kept safe. Mm-hmm. That's what they were doing.
And, I was in Market Fair and I saw one tradie not wearing a mask.
That's simply not on. There are a lot of people dobbing them in.
Now, I was once in a petrol station this year about masks, and the lady goes, "Oh, I've got a medical condition. I can't wear a mask." One of the workers.
There are people. That is a legitimate case, as I mentioned before. You are allowed to have a what's it called? Yeah, you are allowed to have an exemption. Yes, in fact, it's funny. I was in Woolies today, mm-hmm. and a couple of police in Woolies doing just what we were talking about. They were actually checking up people.
Yeah.
Who know what they were doing.
They were doing that in Narellan Town Centre a few weeks ago as well.
Yeah, they were doing this and I was speaking to a lady who didn't have a mask.
Yeah.
And I was speaking very pleasantly to her. I mean, and she actually did have a certificate to put to the exemption, and the police were saying, because I'm over here, I talked about who was worried about her, and it's good to see a real exemption. In other words, this person have a real reason for being it, because they do exist, and the policeman now put this person who was maskless, in fact, this person had a real reason, so it's really, so that's quite happy. Mm-hmm. That they didn't have to.
So why? I saw a couple today in Narellan Town Centre didn't wear their mask.
Well, as I said, unfortunately, it's not for us to judge.
Oh, well, they're the ones getting the fine. So.
Yeah, they're the ones being picked up, and there is a lot of people around looking for people who aren't wearing masks, and the ones who have exemptions by now usually carry the certificate saying you have an exemption.
Well, why would you have an exemption not to wear a mask? I don't get that.
Well, I think I mentioned this, said this last time. If you have breathing difficulties of some sort.
Yeah.
That's an obvious one. If you have breathing difficulties of some sort, you can have trouble with masks. And also, there are things like this, or even possibly some psychological conditions. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could genuinely have a psychological issue.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just asked her, Patrick. She said I had a condition, and that's it. I didn't.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the thing is, it's tricky if you're just a shopkeeper.
Yeah, she was one of the workers at the petrol station.
Although, technically speaking, you are allowed to refuse them service. Hmm. You're allowed to make a condition of entry that you have a mask, full stop.
Yeah, you can, but business don't want to enforce that because they're going to lose money.
Well, also, it gets very nasty.
Yeah.
When I've been on the other side, I've done a shop, done many shopping, in the front shop, we've had a couple who are coming without masks, and they can get quite people who might not have an exemption.
Mm-hmm.
Might not get a bit stroppy, ask, do you have an exemption?
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the ones who get stroppy probably don't.
Yeah.
But the ones who do, and sometimes the person handling it wasn't handled possibly either.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly, it is a thing that requires, because you need the authority to do something about it.
Yeah, just let the police deal with it.
Yeah, really, yeah. And trust me, if you wander around without a mask, you'll be pinged. And it's now a nasty little $500 worth.
Yeah, it was $1,000 in Melbourne.
That was more intentional.
Mm. But see, remember last episode we were talking about masks, because I was telling you I like to wear a mask, from the fire service because it's more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because the cheap $2 ones, they're just shit. They fall off. They're crap.
The masks, the thing is, again, there are two possible theories on the mask. There are the people that kind of say, you got to wear the mask absolutely perfectly, get complete seal, etc.
Yeah.
But even a badly fitting mask stops a significant amount of the nasties getting out.
Yeah, that is true. I'm not denying that. They're just uncomfortable.
So they're uncomfortable and things like that. They can be uncomfortable. They can be unpleasant to wear, yes.
And I was saying about the surgeons, they wear like a tie-on one so it doesn't fall off. Yeah,
again, but they also have a higher quality manufacture.
Yeah.
Most of the surgeon masks are, in fact, are a different quality again.
Yeah.
They're the 2.5 micron, etc.
But I've seen people wearing a face shield.
Yeah, the face shield on its own isn't adequate. Isn't good enough for the rules.
Gotcha.
Because the face shield simply directs the bugs downward, and the face shield is to protect the person wearing the shield of other people.
But I've seen some workers in OPSM were wearing just a face shield.
Exactly, to protect them from you.
Yeah. But
the thing is, the face shield stops the stuff getting into their face.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be desirable to wear the mask as well, the airborne stuff coming around.
Yeah.
But don't forget that when this all started, because they thought it was a particular kind of coronavirus,
mm-hmm.
they thought it was being carried mainly on droplets, which are small drops of water, and those really can be stopped by a barrier. Now, the face shield stops them coming in.
Yeah.
Let the face shield and they fall off. At the end of the day, you wash it, you hit this face shield with a bit of alcohol, and the bugs all die.
Yeah.
They now are much more aware that it's actually carried on as an aerosol. In other words, it's carried on the micron diameter droplets of water, vapor almost.
Yeah.
Which means it hangs around in the air, and so it goes further and it hangs around more.
Yeah.
And that means you've actually got to keep it out with an actual stopping them getting through rather than stopping them getting around.
Interesting.
So it's not like, it's like, if you imagine it, you keep the rain out with an umbrella,
uh-huh.
but if it's a foggy, misty day, you'll get wet under an umbrella.
Exactly.
Think of it like that.
Well, see...
On a foggy, misty day, the foggy, misty stuff gets into your lungs.
Well, see, an N95, I actually prefer the N95 mask.
Yeah, as I said, I'm not really as I said, I simply go for the masks. I've got a variety of masks. For short-term use, I've got a pack of the cheap ones. For longer-term use, I've got a few really good cloth ones that I bought at various times. They're still none of them perfect.
What about a gas mask?
A fully sealed gas mask. Probably. Yeah, well, that's what these are all based on.
Just walk around in a gas mask in the shopping centre.
Well, I was thinking actually about getting a full face mask for the CPAP machine and modifying that.
Mm.
That would give a complete seal.
Mm.
but be more comfortable.
Do you think the coronavirus has just become another business?
No, not in itself.
Like, you got the...
There are people who are making a business of the coronavirus, yes.
Yeah, the doctors.
That happens with everything.
Like the doctors, for instance, like they want you to get a test from them, so they get money just to tell you what's wrong. Don't they get a commission when they refer you for a coronavirus test?
I don't think so, but they can charge you more for that test. They can sometimes get a different rating of their type of visit, but no, I don't think they're not supposed to.
That's what I think. Like, my GP says, I want you to do it through me because we want to test for other influenza virus, but I just want to go through the drive-through and just do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, there might be. I just said I wouldn't, one way or another. I wouldn't buy. As I said, I am not really familiar with or comfortable with commenting on the.
No, it's all good.
On things like that because it is quite complex.
Well, to me, I think it's become a business, this coronavirus.
As I said, there are lots of people making it a business.
Yeah, like face masks have become a business now. The vaccine's a business because the government's got to pay for it.
Well, the vaccine's tricky.
That costs money, you know.
It costs a lot of money. One of the reasons, and this is only slightly, the AstraZeneca is by far the cheapest.
Yep.
Because the manufacturers are essentially selling it at cost.
Yeah.
They're recovering some of their production costs. The other ones are being sold at a profit, which looks like it's expensive if you compare it to the cost of manufacture.
Mm.
But you've also got to throw in the cost of development.
But what about the cost of a coronavirus test? I wonder how much that costs Medicare.
I don't know. They're not hugely expensive. They're fairly simple. They're fairly straightforward tests, I believe. Most of these antigen tests are fairly straightforward.
Yeah, they cost money.
They all cost money, yeah. And but then again, the pathology companies that conduct these tests have the bigger ones have been making a fortune out of it anyway.
Oh shit, yeah.
Whatever they do, you know, there's no pathology concern that's losing money.
No, they're happy. They've made a, and toilet paper companies have made a profit.
Oh, that was a joke. I think I've already told you about my toilet paper, haven't I?
Yeah, tell us again about your toilet paper.
Oh, well, I'm still using toilet paper, a pack of 36 that I bought just on 2 years ago.
Shit.
I bought a pack of 36 because it was cheap, and I know I'm going to use it.
Good on you.
So all these compulsive things, and I said, I've still got plenty. I've still got plenty.
So why would people be stupid just to hoard the stuff, Patrick?
It's a strange thing. There are two types of... There are two issues. There are several issues. There are some people, and there's only a small number of the people who are hoarders, who hoard everything, who make sure that they're not going to run out because in their life they've had a hard time and they've actually run out of things they really need. So there are those ones. But in the case like this one, they weren't hoarding it. They were panic buying it because what happened was that we had a strange situation. It is a strange situation. You know, this time last year. This was last year when it all started.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to shop now. We're not going to be able to get to the shops as much. Which never actually happened. We've never been actually come up from the shops. And somebody saw somebody buying toilet paper. Now, maybe that person was bought a lot of toilet paper. Maybe they had a reason. For instance, you know, Jane, who was buying toilet paper from the shop, she was buying 3 or 4 of those big packs at a time. So you're you're at a shop and you see somebody buy a couple of packs of toilet paper, and you think, as 2 or 3 people say, oh, there must be a problem. People must be buying toilet paper because there's a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
So they buy toilet paper.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, because toilet paper is very big on the shelves, it's bulky, 3 or 4 people buy a lot of toilet paper, and all of a sudden there's not much left. And then the next person comes along and says, oh, the toilet paper's running out, I better get some.
Yeah.
And it cascades.
It's like South Park predicted it. Cartman's buying all this toilet paper just to TP someone's house, and they're all...
Yeah, exactly. So the way it cascades. So it cascades. And then so not... People aren't thinking when they do it.
Hmm.
They're reacting to the... They're reacting to what's happening.
Yeah. Strange, Patrick.
Yeah.
Has this panic buying happened when you were growing up?
Not a huge amount, because there wasn't a huge amount to buy.
Oh.
See, one of the things is that we didn't have supermarkets in those days.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I can recall seeing the first self-service supermarket.
Yeah.
When you bought groceries, you went to the grocery shop, and the man had a little shop, and he had most of his groceries in a big room out the back. And you can't have 1 of these and 3 of these and 5 of those, and he'd go and get them and put them in bags for you, and you'd get them. Or he'd deliver them to you. I mean, home delivery is not new. I mean, I grew up with home delivery of groceries.
What about the milk delivery? Didn't they used to deliver the milk?
Yeah, milk, groceries, bread was the other thing we always had delivered.
How come they don't deliver milk anymore from the farms?
Well, it never came from the farm. It always came from the processors.
Oh.
It always came to the factory. It always came through the milker who wasn't the farmer. See, again, things like milk. Over the years, milk packaging has changed. I mean, it used to be in bottles. But now, when I first started, milk was sold in bulk. And that really was best handled by being delivered.
Well, look at...
The milk guy would come around with his car or his truck, probably a horse-drawn cart when I was young. And on the back of the car, you'd have those big milk cans of milk. And you'd go out with your billy. You literally go out with an 8 pint, a gallon can, and you'd fill it with milk. Literally, that's how we bought milk, in a billy. And it was in bulk. And this made more sense than people going to the shop and walking home, slosh, spill. Oh my goodness, I've lost half of my milk. So this is how milk was. That's why milk was sold that way.
Yeah.
And bread similarly. Bread was sold very, very fresh.
Yeah, today...
Bread was sold within hours of being baked.
Well, today you buy bread from Woolies or Coles, Aldi. It feels like it's processed.
It is processed.
It's not fresh, and milk's the same. Like
Oh well, yeah. See, as I said, get back to milk. What happened was they then started putting milk into bottles.
Yeah.
And the milk still kept on delivering them. Although then milk could start being sold in shops. But with selling milk in the shops, it was like soft drinks in those days. There was a deposit on the milk, and you had to fiddle around, and the bottles were bulky, and they had to get back to the processors anyway. They had to be returned to be cleaned out and things, and refilled. These bottles were always reused. So that was a messy business for the shop. So they didn't really get into it until they started putting milk into cartons, because they could then not have to return. So it became very, very easy for supermarkets to sell milk. It's put in packets. And supermarkets like things in packets. And when supermarkets started selling milk in packets, it became very easy to do it. And so basically, and they were able to sell it cheaper than the milk owners.
See, with the corporations, they're ripping the farmers off.
There's quite a bit of that going on too, and that is the almost monopolistic power they have. That really is, this is something that is really very unhappy. It's hard to say how much is ripping off and how much is, again, it's people saying that people are arguing they're being ripped off when they're in fact. Again, but certainly there are cases where what was going to the producer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's virtually impossible to produce a litre of milk for $1.
Mm. But the corporations sell milk.
Selling it for $1. Selling it for $1.
Have you noticed if you go to Coles or Woolies, Patrick, the milk's cheaper than a small business?
Well, exactly, because if you're buying 1 million litres of milk,
mm-hmm.
you can almost name your own price.
Yeah.
If you are buying, as the small shops do, Woolies down in Campbelltown, they put 80, 90, 100, 200 containers of milk out a day.
Mm-hmm.
Your local corner shop might put out 10.
Yeah.
They don't have the buying power.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to buy at closer to the price they sell. In fact, a lot of these corner shops virtually pay the same price what they're selling you
mm-hmm.
as the supermarkets are selling it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I have known some of the really small ones actually stock by buying at the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
What they're offering you, and what they used to offer, and they're not so much now, is a local convenience that you can buy.
Mm-hmm.
You can go just down the road and buy it rather than having to haul it into town.
Mm.
That is where they get their money, where they come from.
So here's another question. Why does a small business pay more tax than a huge corporation like Coles or Woolies? I don't get that.
The answer to that is accountants.
Oh, but that's not fair.
Of course not. But basically, the major companies have ways of organising their finances.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why they organise their finances so that their apparent income appears to be smaller
mm-hmm.
compared to, in fact, their whole turnover. I mean, it really is a bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Although, again, most corporations in Australia pay company tax,
mm-hmm.
and there's a bit of a trick in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
If they pay company tax, and this company tax isn't the same as income tax, for example, they're not, because the company itself isn't the person making the money.
Mm-hmm.
They then pass their profit, the dividends across to their shareholders, and shareholders then pay tax on the money they get from the company.
Yeah.
However, there is a subtle thing that they have what's called imputation, which means that they don't pay tax on all their income. They actually have to deduct the tax already paid by the company. So they end up paying the same amount of taxes paid on it.
You'd be a good accountant, Patrick.
I had thought about it once in a life.
Or a stockbroker.
Not a stockbroker.
Yeah, because that's not fair. Like a mining corporation pays less tax than a small business.
Yes, and the thing is, it's not. And the problem is, the thing is, there are two different issues here. The issue is that the Australian companies paying dividends in Australia. It is the big multinational companies who take their profits overseas that are the problem in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they take their profits overseas, they've earned the money in Australia, but they've very often they arrange their business so that the money is apparently being made somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's some companies, for instance, they sell you something in Australia for a service, but they bill you in Singapore.
Mm.
So you pay for the service in Australia, in Singapore. You pay less tax. It's less tax, and things like this. Big multinational companies can arrange things so that they pay less tax. Very often, they, for instance, they have fees they charge their local subsidiary, and they're tax deductible, and things like this.
See, here's another thing. An employee pays way more tax than the CEO of these corporations.
Now, that is pure accountants. That is the absurdity of the current tax system. That by manipulation of your income, you can reduce your tax.
Like Bill Gates, he'd pay way less tax than the employees at Microsoft.
Well, this is how it works, unfortunately. That's to do with the fact that I said, basically, good accountants. You arrange your finances so that your money goes here, it goes there, it gets paid through this. You get this deduction, you get that deduction, and things like this. And a lot of it is, it's not good. And in fact, some jurisdiction, I think the United States has done it, has actually decided that if somebody looks like a billionaire, they tax them like a billionaire, whatever they say they get. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
They talk about imputed income rather than declared income. And that is something that would be nice. That would make sense.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess, you get a good accountant, there's a ways around it. Like Clive Palmer, for instance. You heard of Clive Palmer?
Who hasn't?
Now,
Yellow page advertisements, yes.
Is he still in Parliament?
What?
Is he still in Parliament, Clive Palmer?
Oh, no. He is out of Parliament. Thank heavens.
What happened?
He has a couple of supporters. He just didn't get re-elected.
Oh, and Jackie Lambie as well.
Jackie Lambie's still around.
Now, Clive Palmer, wasn't he owning a mining corporation?
He is a miner, yes.
He was a funny bloke. I couldn't stop laughing at him on TV.
Yeah, but the trouble is, you might laugh at him.
Yeah.
The trouble is, he's laughing at us.
Yeah.
He really is laughing at us.
No, like, there was a thing, he went to court for something. He's like, I haven't slept in 3 days. And his eyes were all bloodshot and all that. I remember I was watching him getting elected when Tony Abbott was become Prime Minister, and he got pissed off at the media and took off his microphone.
Yeah, I know he is.
I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, well, the trouble is it's serious.
Was he good or not? Why didn't he get re-elected? What happened?
I'm not sure he didn't stand against. Oh, he got into a bit of strife.
Ah. What do you do now?
I wouldn't say he was any good.
Yeah.
He has one interest in life, and your comment about his tax back. He is, first of all, he's a bit of a crackpot.
Yeah.
At the moment, he's a dangerous crackpot. Because at the moment, he is actively spreading anti-vaccine propaganda.
Yeah.
And that is not good.
No, and it's not good, and that's just stupid.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Blaming each other. Remember, I was speaking to on our phone call, like, it's just become, our politicians have become like school children. Blaming each other.
Yeah, this is a pity, because they, instead of blaming, instead of saying, you made it go wrong, they should be asking, what went wrong?
Yeah.
How did it go wrong? Not who made it go wrong, and how can we fix it?
Exactly.
I mean, this is actually the purpose of an inquest. People think that inquests are about finding somebody to blame. They're not. An inquest is about finding out what happened so it won't happen again.
Well, Kevin Rudd got vaccinated, but he goes and get a photo to make himself look good.
Oh, all the politicians got themselves photographed. They're getting vaccination.
Why? Like, I don't get that.
Oh, because it's kind of, I'm one of the people, I'm doing the right thing. Some of it is actually to try to persuade people to get the vaccination.
Yeah.
And I can do it, you can do it. I mean, some of it is genuinely out of interest to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is genuinely out of genuine interest of helping people get it right.
Yeah. Exactly. It's...
If you think about it,
yeah.
You have to think about it, there are some politicians who genuinely believe that by getting vaccinated, I will provide a model and example for other people to follow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it kind of makes sense, except it looks so phony.
Yeah, it's just childish, Patrick.
It looks phony. That's the only problem with it.
Yeah, all these rules, just, I don't know.
Yeah, well, the rules are serious.
Oh, for sure. They are.
And I'm not going to argue against most of the rules, because they are pretty important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's always rules coming out. I feel like it's a bit of population control.
Well, population control usually means keeping the population, reducing the population. I know what you mean. It's not quite the right word. But so the trouble is, and here you are almost right, once governments get into the habit of imposing rules for a very good reason, and this is a very good reason, sometimes they find it very hard to get out of those habits. And so you end up with rules hanging around for a lot longer and constraints and constrictions hanging around a lot longer than they really should.
Yeah, and like, I was reading in the Telegraph about sex education in schools or something. And the trans... What's this? You know, in America, there was talks about the transgender bathroom.
Yeah.
And like, if a transgender, right, who was originally a man but wants to be a woman and you don't acknowledge him as their woman, then, I'm going to sue you.
Well, this is more, again, something that I've thought about quite a bit. And one of the problems is that the word man and woman has too many different meanings. Yeah. And even the whole question of gender, because gender is another thing again.
Yeah.
And a person who genuinely acts as a person, and I'm going to use the word sex in this case, of the sex which not other than that which they were nominally born. Yeah. Is a person should be treated as a person of that sex. Yeah. That. So the transgender, and this is why I don't use the word sex, because in fact it is generally there involves a biological factor as well as a social factor. Yeah. So a person who simply says, I want to act like a woman, has problems. And because the thing is, this is why the quasi-neutral bathrooms make sense. Yeah. And I'm going to sue you, that's another story, because Australia has a lawsuit in some way, as America. Yeah. But certainly they have some rights.
Oh, look, they do. And Joe Rogan was talking about this. There was a case where there was a transgender woman, but originally is a man, wanted to compete in the women's sport, but that's not fair. They got the body of a man.
Hang on. This is actually there is actually this New Zealand weightlifter. Yeah. And there are some possible issues with that.
Yeah.
But before she, I use that word because she calls herself she,
yeah.
and I'm going to call her she because that's what she calls herself.
Yeah.
Just as you call yourself Stephen, and I'll be wrong in calling you Michael.
Yeah. Michael Jackson.
No, seriously, I'll be absolutely wrong in calling you by the wrong name.
Yeah, true.
Be polite. Deliberately. So, before you can compete as a woman, in the women's sport and the female sport, you have to actually undergo hormone treatment.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is the point, is they have to actually undergo considerable estrogen treatment to reduce her testosterone level.
Yeah, but Joe Rogan was right.
Now, there are, as I said, there are still some issues that the threshold value is perhaps some people believe is a bit high. The amount of testosterone is a bit high. Maybe it could be reduced a bit because all females have some testosterone in them.
Yeah.
And some have more than others, depending on how hard they exercise even.
Well,
the other issue is that if you grow up as a male, you have a developed male physiology.
Yeah.
So you have that slightly bigger bulk to start with.
But that's absolutely right.
However, the effects of the treatment seriously debilitate that. So far we have not yet had an elite level male athlete wish to transition to compete as an elite level female.
There have been some athletes that wanted to.
As I said, we've had the New Zealand weightlifter.
Yeah.
And her problem was that she actually was nowhere near a chance anyway, because she was lifting weights that were considerably less than the the record. In fact, she didn't even make weight.
Yeah.
But the whole physiology, there's also psychology involved, because the actual, even though that body might have been built around the male body, the mind and the thinking has become changed, and even though that the bulk effects might be still present somewhat, the whole effect of the weakening of the body would in fact make a significant difference. So it really is it's not trivial. It's not an easy decision to make.
I'm just saying it wouldn't be very fair, that's all.
Well, the thing is, the question of fairness is more relative.
Yeah.
There's no absolute fairness involved. It's not absolutely fair or unfair for the person who can. It's not fair or unfair necessarily.
Well, it's like, if someone's a transgender who has a body of a male, but then they say...
As I said, there was a very good article in the Herald on Saturday about this.
Yeah, and this is what I'm trying to...
And the point is that the male physiology starts off that way, but once you start taking the treatment that you're required to do, it does affect that physiology, which also affects how you train and how you think. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it is quite as simple as magic. There are magic numbers, as I said, of testosterone levels. And there is some argument that they are being too generous at the Olympic Committee with the levels they allow for transgender people.
Yeah, look, yeah.
So as I said, I know of no case yet where a serious elite level male athlete went through the trauma of the change. Yeah. But it's not an easy change.
No.
To compete as a female.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It would not be. It'd be very.
Well, as I said, there will eventually become some issues involved.
It's like Okay, just say a transgender who's bulked like a male but dressing like a female wants to compete.
No. It's not merely dresses like a female.
Yeah. And then they say, I want to be
has also taken a large amount of hormone treatment.
Yeah.
To actively change their physiology.
It's complicated, Patrick.
It is complicated. They do actually have to have physically changed themselves.
Yeah.
You cannot go in and say, I am a female. Mm-hmm. I wish to compete as a female as a complete male.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. You just can't do it.
Exactly. No, it's good. Thanks for answering that question because it came up on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, but there are, as I said, it's more complex.
I think there was a UFC fighter or something that was a transgender and wanted to compete in the women's, but they wouldn't allow.
Well, again, this is the point is that person, before they compete as a woman, because the discrimination or the distinction in sport is biological, not gender. Mm-hmm. So here's the problem. It is a sex-based. Mm-hmm. It's your biology that determines your capacity to play in a category of sport.
Yeah.
I mean, up until a few years ago, you actually had to prove that you were biologically completely female. They're called bar bodies.
Yeah.
Which are the things which are related to the double X chromosome.
Yeah.
You had to have a president. You had to have those, but they've developed because of this whole transgender sociology and also the intersex.
Yeah.
Which is another one. They've changed the rules to allow people who identify as female and pass a second test based on the amount of male hormone they had present. Mm-hmm. So basically, a female now, or to compete in the women's, you have to prove that you're not male.
Mm-hmm. You remember, I think there was the Olympic team, what was it, the Chinese or something, female swimmers were all taking steroids at one time?
Oh, this is the Germans.
Ah.
This was there were two things. There was what's still hanging over in this living is the Russian systematic doping, but back in the 60s and the 50s, 60s and 70s, the East German teams, the women were on so much on steroids that they probably would not have passed the test now for being male, for female. But some of them were shaved. But they looked female. In those days, their sex was what they looked like.
Yes. Now, steroids, I know professional bodybuilders are taking them, that's a fact. Arnold Schwarzenegger admitted to it.
Yeah.
But why are they around in sports? And if they're so-called drug testing, and why do athletes get caught? Like Lance Armstrong.
Well, they get caught because they are, but if you use them, there's a good chance you will eventually get caught.
But they cover up their drug test with some pills or something, I don't know.
Well, basically now, again, there's a constant battle between the pharmacologist, the chemists, and the sporting bodies. And it is a major conflict because rules are set. And the rules in most sport, they're quite arbitrary. They're made up. I mean, there's no reason why other rules couldn't apply. To try to make it fair for all competitors, so you compete on essentially the same set of the same circumstances. And also, with respect to the drug, that the people who compete are basically normal people, except that they've worked a lot harder. So this is what the rules are about. The trouble is that as the chemists work out, they work out more and more subtly different ways of getting around the rules, of getting drugs that aren't known so they won't be detected. So basically every year or so they come out with more drugs that will one way or another enhance your performance. there was a pentathlete who was done for taking caffeine. Now, it's coffee.
Yes.
Because it's in the pentathlon because caffeine speeds up your reflexes, and in a couple of the events in the pentathlon, you need to have your speeding up your reflexes help.
Mm-hmm.
So things that are quite innocuous normally can give you that unfair advantage.
Mm-hmm.
The trouble is that if you're a smart chemist, you can invent a nice new drug that makes you just that much, faster, stronger, faster or stronger. And if you can do that, then you'll win.
Mm-hmm.
And steroids and the whole steroid families was one that was particularly powerful because it builds up your muscles.
But they were originally used on chickens, weren't they?
Oh, related, I think it was used to build up chickens, yes.
But see, it wasn't in the 60s when the bodybuilders like Arnold Schwarzenegger, they started taking them.
Yeah, well, people worked out that anabolic steroids, they used veterinary ones originally, yes.
But see, they got them from like a doctor would prescribe it.
Yes, I mean, because in those days there's no rules about it because they hadn't thought about it. And so, and in bodybuilding, things like that, it's a whole little closed shop game. So it really was not as if the big mainstream sports became more worried about it when they discovered them.
Yeah.
But certainly the trouble was with them was that there were very few ways of knowing at that stage whether they were using them or not.
Mm.
You need a test.
Now, there was a sprinter named Ben Johnson denied it, but then he got stripped of his medals.
Yes, I mean, there were all sorts of elite athletes over the years have been found, not necessarily while they were doing it, but after, to have been, one way or another, getting some kind of chemical advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, unfortunately, the trouble is that things like these sporting events have grown too big, too important outside the event themselves.
Mm.
But the Olympics is now seen as a competition between nations.
Yep.
So if I can win 23 gold medals in the Olympics and he only wins 21, then we are a better nation than they are, for bragging rights.
Mm.
So national government get involved. And that was how those big early scandals arose. And then sporting became, so the winning became important for more than the competitor. It became important for a country or for a huge team.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So there's more encouragement for that country, that team, to support that athlete in one way or another bending the rule.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, many of those East German and Russian athletes were genuinely victims. Because their bodies are being destroyed because they were required to take these drugs.
Well, the doctor told them to take it.
That's what I mean. They were required to take them, yes. And they don't do them any good. When you come off them, you're in strife.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing about athletics is that you win the Tour de France, you get $1 million.
Mm.
That's over $2 million.
Yep.
I reckon I'd want to win that. I reckon I'd be prepared to cheat a little bit to win $2 million.
Yep.
That's the thing. I mean, the prizes are now big enough to make the risk you take worthwhile.
But see, the UFC, like the mixed martial arts, before had a problem with people using these, I don't know, peptides and steroids, but then USADA came in and, because it's a publicly traded company, they're constantly drug testing them now.
Yeah, once you get that public involvement in things, I thought my computer was still switched on. I heard it going ping, 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 okay, turn it off.
I was like, what was that?
And so that's it. See, once you start getting powers that be saying, no, you don't, then life is a lot easier to control.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
But see, sport has become a business now.
Exactly. You've got it in one. There's huge money involved. It's part of the entertainment industry, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really is part of the entertainment industry. Professional sport, because they're the athletes. There are two things. They're the athletes who are competing as sportsmen. They're competing in the sport, but they're also entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
Because for most of us watching the sports, we are not watching it because we are not participating.
Yeah.
We're not taking part. I am not in Tokyo right now. I am not in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Australia isn't in Japan.
Mm-hmm. How come
they wear uniforms that say Australia, but in fact, really, there are a lot of sportsmen who are Australian in Japan.
How come the Olympics didn't go ahead last year in Tokyo just with an empty crowd? They should have just done it like that.
Well,
an empty stadium.
Because, like all of these things with this virus,
it
is a catch-up game. We're making it up as we go along. That really is what's happening.
Well, it's going around now, and the Olympics are still going.
Yeah, but they're making it up. But all the rules about all of these kind of things are being made up as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? We're making it up as we go along.
And the Queensland Premier, she wanted to cancel the NRL season, didn't she? Or suspend it?
Oh, there was... Well...
I know you're a footy...
This is something that was strange. What happened was that Queensland was a fairly clean of coronavirus.
Mm.
So that took all of the NRL up to Queensland.
Yeah.
And they were having games organised. But then Queensland had a quick shutdown.
Yeah.
And part of that quick shutdown, for briefly, hit the NRL for the Saturday and the Sunday because they didn't have time at that stage to work out what to do. Because, as I said, they're making it up genuinely. They're making it up as they go. There's no rule book for this.
Well, that's not fair. Look, if they're in doubt, what...
No, there's no rule book. They're genuinely inventing the rules as they go along.
Yeah.
Now, think about it. They're genuinely making up the rules as they go along.
Yeah, it's pissing me off, Patrick.
And that's all they can do.
Well, if they're in doubt, why not move the NRL to the Northern Territory? And it's hot out there.
Maybe they might. You never know, they might, except that they've got enough good grounds in Queensland to play the games.
Yeah, well, they're in the dry season.
Don't forget, the NRL is also a business.
Yeah.
This is the point. You've got to think that what we are being deprived of are three things, actually. The direct entertainment of watching the game.
Yeah.
Secondly, the second-hand experience of somehow being involved in supporting a team.
Mm-hmm.
That's a strange one, that one. And the third one, and this is actually something that they're not prepared to talk about, is the chance to gamble on it.
Mm.
That's another issue.
Honestly, last year, Patrick, they should have just played the season in empty stadiums. That's it.
Look, we can say they should have and they could have.
That would have made...
It is, and I'm just going to say it the third time you said they should have. I'm going to say the same response the third time.
Yeah.
We cannot judge decisions made last year.
Yeah.
Because since last year, the game has changed. We know more about the virus.
Yeah.
We understand it better. The virus has changed radically since last year. But the virus is now up to about 7th or 8th variant. But the 4th variant, which is the so-called Delta one, is the one that's nastiest.
Mm.
And so the virus is changing. Our knowledge of how it works, our understanding of how it works is changing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to keep on changing our response.
Mm-hmm.
So any response this year cannot be measured against the response last year. Because what we did last year was what we had, the best we could do at the time. Because we are genuinely inventing rules. We're trying things out. We're experimenting. The whole thing, each one is a giant experiment.
It's pissed a lot of NRL fans off, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, okay, but it is a giant experiment.
You know, I mean, like, let's talk like the UFC still went ahead last year in wrestling, WWE and all Elite.
America.
They cancelled
That's bloody America.
And they cancelled the NFL as well. The NFL.
The NFL can't, because the NFL is more sensible. and the other thing is, the number of people involved is so much different.
Mm.
I mean, think like the WWF and the Mixed Martial Arts Centre. There are really very, very small numbers of people involved.
Yeah.
There might be a couple of hundred involved. In the wrestling, there wouldn't be 100.
Oh, but they were very strict on the COVID testing.
In the mixed martial art, there might be, at the professional level, there might be a couple of hundred, if that. I doubt there's even 200 of them.
Yeah, but they were testing them like crazy, Patrick.
Yeah, they're testing like crazy because they're trying to work out what's the best thing to do. What are the risks?
Yeah.
Because you can only make a decision based on a risk assessment, balancing the risk against the benefit. Mm-hmm. How important, for instance, is it to go on? What are we going to lose if we don't go on? Are we going to lose a bit of money if we go on? Are we going to annoy a few people if we don't go on?
Well,
what would happen?
Yeah.
If we do go on, who's going to die? Mm. What's the chance of somebody dying? What's the chance of somebody even becoming chronically sick for the rest of their life?
Mm. Well, the company's lost a lot of money because of ticket sales. Yeah.
Oh yes, I mean a lot of money is lost, but they have to base their decision on: are we going to lose money or are we going to lose lives?
Yeah.
And that is a decision that I would not want to make.
I know, but they're a publicly traded company, so...
Exactly, and as a publicly traded company, they have a fiduciary responsibility to not lose money.
And they got their own, what do they call their own little headquarters they did it at? Their own little venue where they were doing their shows during the pandemic.
Yes, I mean, so they could actually carry on with a lot of their donors, but again, with that, then half of that show is in the crowd.
I know, it sucks. When I was watching some highlights...
Watching it without... Watching something like the mixed martial arts without a crowd...
Yeah, it sucks.
And the crowd response is a significant amount of the show, although not as... And with the WWE, the crowd is the show.
And they were using fake crowd noises, but it's just not the same.
Exactly, it's not the same, because it is a response.
I was talking to Sean about this, and I was saying, Sean, I was watching All Elite Wrestling, it's just like they're doing a practice match, doing a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Just didn't have that intensity.
You don't have that same... And so with the wrestling in particular, with its whole theatre, that's the only word for it.
Theatre, I like that.
No, the wrestling is theatre.
Yeah.
And theatre actually involves the crowds, and part of the crowd is the theatre. Part of that theatre is the crowd, because, come on, you've got to boo their villains, cheer the heroes, dodge the flying chairs, and all those things, all those totally absurd things that happen in the wrestling.
Mm.
And the crowds actually carry it along. Although, in fact, when I did go listening, you find that actually when you're in the crowd, unless you're in about the first 10 rows, you don't get the experience. It's better at home.
Ah.
Because you need to be fully aware of all the games going on. You need to be close enough to actually see what's going on in close detail.
Yeah.
See the little byplay, things like this.
Well, you're in America, All Elite Wrestling, they got their crowds back.
Again, it's America.
It's awesome to have crowds. They're all wearing masks.
They're all wearing masks and things, yes.
And they space them back from the wrestlers, but I saw a few wrestlers going in the crowds.
Oh, yes, of course they do.
That's fun. And I was saying to Sean, this is awesome.
Exactly. And it is great theatre.
You know, it's just...
And it's theatre.
It just wasn't the same watching a pay-per-view with no one and having fake crowd noises.
Yeah, I mean, no, and I wouldn't even bother.
I know. I was upset.
Yeah, because, as I said, the whole theatre is what you're looking at.
The UFC was still doing it without crowds as well.
Yeah, they should probably, because in the UFC, they really are fighting.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that the rest of you know that it is purely theatrical. It's purely with the UFC that the competitors are genuinely competing. Although, because of the toughness of the way they play, the audience response is actually part of the performance.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a wrestler last year, Brody Lee, died of a lung problem.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is the most dangerous form of theatre I know.
Yeah,
I mean, quite seriously, those wrestlers, in terms of the risks they're taking, I would say they take more risks than a trapeze artist.
And like, you remember Eddie Guerrero?
No, I can't remember him. I haven't watched the wrestling for years.
Or Chris Benoit, he went on a murder-suicide, taking steroids and painkillers.
It really is. The actual performances are extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah.
You make a mistake, you hurt yourself, you hurt the target. And they genuinely do hurt each other in the ring there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care how tough you are. When somebody slaps across the back with a folding chair, you get hurt.
They used to do it on the head before the concussion things came out.
But as I said, it used to be totally crazy. It's not totally crazy.
They did it in the 90s, Patrick. They used to hit people. I've
been watching it since before you were born.
Yeah, what was it like before in the 80s? Was it a PG show?
The wrestling was as theatrical.
Yeah.
What happened in the ring had the same theatre.
Because Ric Flair was in his prime.
Oh, no, not before Ric Flair's Johnny Come Lately.
Shit.
I remember when Hulk Hogan started.
Nice.
I remember when Hulk Hogan was starting.
Yeah, tell me about wrestling. Was it a PG or M? Was it?
Oh, probably PG because, but it's shown in the daytime.
Yeah. Well, you remember Jake.
And the thing about it was that even then the theatre in the ring was as much. The wrestling itself was just as absurd.
Well, you remember.
But they didn't have that same outside story that the wrestling now has. They don't have all these Vince McMahon, all these stories, all these feuds, and the camera had to be out in the back when the wrestlers are plotting and following them out. They had none of that going on. All the action. Because of the nature of the theatre, they had to have fixed cameras.
Well, see,
so all the action took place in the ring, but you still had the heroes and the villains. You still had the blokes cheating and the tag team matches and things like this. And the sneaky leg pulling and things like this.
Well, see, there was Jake the Snake Roberts. He would bring his Cobra. They took the fangs out, and it really bit. It was a wrestler. This happened. Did you see it? And the Cobra bit his arm. Oh God, that was real.
Oh yeah, the thing is, it really was exciting because there were genuine risks involved. But the risks were the kind of risk that you get when you see go to a circus. It's almost exactly the same kind of risk you have at a circus. As I said, if you think about it, the circus, the circus acrobats perform extraordinarily risky acts. The wrestlers, for entertainment, perform extraordinarily risky acts. The only difference is they do it with each other as their tools rather than a machine or something like that, or a lion.
Well, see, Jake the Snake Roberts, he was wrestling with Hulk Hogan, but I don't. How could he bring an animal into the ring, like a snake?
I'll answer that in one word. It was professional wrestling.
I mean, the snake.
That's how he could do it.
They take the fangs out of the cobra, so it's not poisonous.
Yeah. The point is that the wrestling.
Yeah.
Was theatre.
Mm-hmm.
They had their props.
Yeah.
And the snake was one of his props.
It was a real snake.
Oh, yes, but it was a prop.
Yeah.
It was, again, that's a prop. I mean, the prop can be a living. I mean, a dog is a prop.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was a prop. It was something that he brought into the... And they brought all sorts of things in the rings over the years. I mean, you people who go smuggling, they had their... they sneak, they hide things there. That's why they eventually patted them down before the start of the fight.
Yeah.
To find them, but they didn't do a very good job, usually.
Well, I don't...
You find a bloke, they can bring a nail with him and things like that.
Yeah, interesting. Like, wrestling's changed because you remember in the 80s, wrestlers started bleeding in the ring?
Yeah.
But then hepatitis C was coming around and HIV.
Yeah, so stop the bleeding, yes.
But, because the WWE is a PG show, you don't see wrestlers bleed anymore, which sucks because that's what makes it good.
Exactly. I mean, there's evidence that they're really hurting each other.
Oh, they use like a little razor blade to cut themselves.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, or a nail. Yes, I was talking about, yes. I'm totally aware of that, yes.
But All Elite Wrestling, which is the new company, they let them do that. And there was wrestlers that they used thumbtacks. I know Mick Foley was, in the hardcore matches.
Yeah. But, of course, this is allegedly against the rules. And what was fascinating with the rules of wrestling was that a bloke could be recorded as actively cheating, and yet there was no authority that was able to strip him of the win. You'd be watching we'd be watching the wrestling match on the TV screen.
Yeah.
And bloke would win, by having his offsider hold the leg of the person or throw a bucket of water in while the referee wasn't looking or doing something like that. And maybe more the match, and that'd be it. There'd be no possible repercussions for them cheating. And it really was, just weird.
I know. I mean, there's been wrestling documentaries. The fans used to get so into the show, they used to, trash their cars and boo them and throw stuff at them.
I said, the heroes and the villains, and they really were great fun.
Wow.
I'm just trying to think, you had the Sheik and his Cobra hold, and we had a good Australian wrestling circuit. In fact, most of the wrestling boys actually came from White City in Sydney.
Wow.
And, you had your hero, you had Mario Milano, and every so often a wrestler would change sides. A villain become a hero, a hero become a villain.
Yeah, play the story.
The narrative, yes, the story.
But there's a lot of wrestlers, that were taking, alcohol and painkillers and drugs.
Oh, well, again, it was terrifyingly physical. I mean, they were, and still are, genuinely first-class athletes.
Well, imagine, could you wrestle 7 nights a week, Patrick?
Exactly. I mean, it's a grueling, tough, and physically hugely demanding.
And what about the travel going between cities as well?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it is. When you think about it, the only athletes who had a similar schedule, if you think about it, were the cyclists in the Grand Tours of cycling.
Yeah.
When you think about it, the Grand Tours of cycling.
Yeah.
They would ride for 4 hours, flat out, really hard working. Go to bed, go stay. Go, hop into a bus, drive 200 kilometres, then go to bed. Get up next day, ride another 4 hours, and so on.
Yeah.
That's ridiculously tough, ridiculously grueling, and by the end, they're buggered.
Mm.
And the wrestlers I agree, they have a similar grueling, tough, and I've never ever denied the sheer power, the sheer enormity of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And as performers and as athletes, it's just that I deny the reality of the actual product they are producing.
Mm.
That the actual game that they play.
Mm-hmm. I mean, still now it's a grueling schedule as well.
Yeah. I mean, it really is an enormously tough life.
And a lot of wrestlers have had divorces as well.
Well, I mean, I think it's an enormously tough life, and it's been tough on. But any of these high-travel, high-demand sports, and the other thing is, it's a nighttime sport. Nighttime game. So, where were you last night, honey?
Exactly.
At work. Why go home with me?
Yeah.
At work.
Paying the bills.
Paying bills.
Yeah, the funny thing with wrestlers, boxing, UFC, they have to provide their own healthcare because they're independent contractors.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. I know that most boxers would be. Things like the UFC, probably yes. But I'd say that almost certainly most of those wrestlers are employees. In Australia, definitely, they would be classed as employees under the Australian rules.
I know in America it's different.
I know, but in Australia, this is just my knowledge, this is my understanding. In Australia,
yeah,
they would almost certainly be classed as employees.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, there's only one employer, and they do what he tells them to.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if whatever they say, they really were employees.
Mm-hmm.
And they might claim not to be, and they might jump them down about it, but certainly boxers and things,
mm-hmm.
they're all independent workers because they are all, at USC, the fighting champions and things, because they are all actually competing genuinely against each other.
Well, the fight business is interesting because the winner takes all, Patrick.
Not always.
I mean, so some of them...
No, they're almost always the parents speak.
Now, but it's become... How do I say it? Isn't it whoever sells most tickets is making the more money in the fight business? It's an interesting business. Boxing.
In professional fighting...
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
about. And again, there are different brands of professional fighting, but like I said, particularly in boxing, if you think about it in particular, because boxing and UFC, again, they're different.
Yeah.
Because they're organised, because in boxing you've got these hundreds of different organising bodies. That's why probably got 3 or 4 different world boxing organisations.
Mm-hmm.
The person who has the best manager, the person who can organise the best media presentation, are the ones who are going to get the best purse.
Mm-hmm.
Because the purse is based on the income that the fight's going to make.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it, the purse is based on the fight, on the income the fight is going to make.
Well, you remember Mike Tyson? He made, so much money in boxing, yet he's bankrupt.
Well, again, depends on who you have managing your money. Well, and how well you manage your money yourself.
His managers, I know for a fact, were ripping him off.
Oh, well, I mean, this is quite probable because very few people who actually that's not fair, I would say, because actually professional fighters tend to be quite reasonable people.
There are dodgy managers too.
There are a lot because if you think about it, it lends itself to being a dodgy manager.
Mm.
When you think about it, it lends itself to being a trade because the boxer, the sportsman has to. Their life is interested in doing their job.
Mm.
Their job is training and fighting. That's the same with any athlete, any sportsman, sportsperson. Yeah, that person's job is training and performing. Now, if they've got to spend time and looking after their money, and the thing is, because of the way they're paid, it's not like they've got a regular salary that goes into their bank account.
Mm.
A lot of them get a lot of money now and not much for the next 6 months, and a lot of money now.
Mm.
They do have to have it organised. They do have somebody organised to make sure the money goes to the best place.
Mm.
And because a lot of these athletes are also quite young, not highly experienced, they become easy targets. Which is a real, it's a sad, that is a problem. You know, even in football, you have the issue of the managers, and there have been a few of those who've been pretty crooked in Australia in the last couple of years.
Yeah, even in the music business too.
Exactly, and that I should have thought about that when I think about it. In music, you have exactly the same problem. If you're a musician and you're a good musician, and you're a serious professional musician, then you're not going to get the time to get distracted looking after again the way your income comes in. So again, it's the same thing. They have also that same risk of dodgy managers, and there are two types of dodgy managers. There are the nasty little ones who manage a large number of middle raters and sneak a little bit out from each of them. And that is really nasty. That's sneak thievery. And then you get the ones who look after somebody who's, and it's becoming a down success. And the infamous Colonel Parker with Elvis Presley is a possible case in point. And all of a sudden, you're looking after tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's so easy to say, oh, he's not going to notice this odd million so disappearing. And all of a sudden, you're going down the road of absolutely nasty, absolutely big scale, huge embezzlement.
Yeah.
So there are the two kinds of ones, and they're almost opportunistic. They're the ones who suddenly say, hey, I've got the chance to make $1 million. And you've got the ones who kind of almost set out to do it deliberately. Who kind of, the con man type.
Oh, yeah, there are a lot of con men in any entertainment, fight business.
And again, it's kind of, but you get con men in almost any kind of trade. Stock market as well. Yep, you get con men, particularly anywhere where you're handing other people's money, you've got room for it. If you think about it, if you're handing other people's money, you've got every chance of being of saying, hey, I'm going to be a con man. So again, and this is where, and the trouble is, you're trusting this person because this is what you do. This is their entire stock in trade is there's been trustworthiness. So if they get sprung, they get stung in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is people don't believe they're going to be caught.
Yeah.
In fact, a bit of pop psychology from the mass security when in Goulburn Jail about 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And one of the more thoughtful lifers I was teaching made an observation there that it's really not the prison that is a deterrent, it is the probability of being caught is as important as punishment. If you think you're going to be caught, and it's the actually being caught, and the embarrassment and the old bugger, that is probably as important as the punishment.
Yeah, that's the thing, corruption.
But it's very easy, if you're looking after somebody else's money, say, nobody's ever going to catch me.
Exactly. But, we've covered a few things on today's podcast, Patrick.
Yeah.
What are you going to be working on in the next few weeks during the lockdown?
Well, the Clemente program, which is that a straight up to university unit program, has just started.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be involved with that. That'll be every Wednesday, thoroughly tied up.
That's all online, is it?
Online, yes, very much online. And as I said, I've got the exercise to keep doing, and there are still 2 or 3 jobs to do around the house that I've been putting up for the last 10 years or so.
Procrastinating. Yeah.
Those jobs I started a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Procrastination, Patrick. Yeah. No, as long as you keep them busy. You got anything on your reading list?
Oh, I just buy books and read them.
I'm reading a book about the samurais. The history of the samurai. Japanese history is very interesting.
Well, it is different to ours, but like all histories, it has commonalities. But the samurai culture and that whole what the samurais, who the samurai were, etc., is something that's quite complex. Again, quite different.
Yeah.
It's something that we just don't understand in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, I loved my history,
Yeah.
So, you watching the footy, are you? I think you're a West Tiger supporter, are you?
Oh, I kind of like to follow West Tiger sport. Look, I'm not a fanatic supporter.
Yeah.
But I do like to watch them and get annoyed badly when they lose by 1 point or 2 points, and get really upset and really cranky when they lose, when they get walked over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's NRL's business, Patrick. Whoever's got the most money can buy the best players.
That's partly it, yeah.
Like Manly.
Although this was salary cap does help that.
Well, Melbourne Storm seem to get all the good players, and Manly.
Well, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you start winning, players want to be on the winning team, so they go to the team that's won, and it becomes a more winning team.
Yeah.
Until eventually somebody works out that, hey, I can pay a little bit more than them to get a really good player. And the thing is, they are teams. So when a team really gels well together, it starts winning.
Yeah, I mean, you look at NFL, that's business.
Oh, the NFL is a business. It's the same thing.
It's so... I've found... Probably boxing, NFL are so much focused on business.
Oh, yeah. I mean, boxing is a lot of money involved. And the thing is, boxing is huge amounts of money. No, I think it's actually not... So the thing is, we hear about the fights where huge amounts of money are paid.
Yep.
Don't forget that for every $1 million fight, there's probably 1,000 $5,000 fights. There are a lot of little fights going on all the time. So it's not as big a big. It's we only see the big business side of it.
Well, you remember the Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight?
Vaguely.
Now, that was hyped up so much, they made a lot of money out of that.
Exactly. They can sell it. They can sell it, yes.
And that wasn't even that great of a boxing match.
Well, the thing is, with sporting events, you have no idea what's going to be like until it happens.
And heavyweight boxing, this used to be the problem. They'd hype it up so much, and then probably in the first round is already a knockout. And
every chance of a knockout in the first round. But heavyweight boxing is, well, I mean, the thing is, in terms of the boxing,
yeah,
they are the top of the tree.
Yeah.
If you think about it, any good heavyweight boxer could beat any lightweight boxer, any middleweight boxer, and any of the lighter weight ones. They float around trying to do the alley. That's like a butterfly.
Yeah.
But one punch from one of those big fellows.
Yeah.
And those small fellows go back 3 feet.
Exactly.
Seriously. So it's so the heavyweight boxing is the premier league of it.
Mm. But they always move slow and they tire out quicker, I've noticed.
Well, that's to do with their size debate. Again, Ali didn't. That was the no on a road theory model.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali danced around his poor opponent. Kept trying to chase him.
Well, I actually...
And Ali didn't get tired, and that was, again, he was a supreme athlete.
I actually prefer light heavyweight better.
Yeah, well, the lighter weight ones, in a lot of sports, the slightly smaller ones tend to do better. And that's why it's, things like tennis, women's tennis, looks different to men's tennis.
Mm.
Some of these sports, the lighter, the smaller performers look different and perform differently.
Mm. Exactly. It's interesting. Physics, Patrick.
Yeah.
It's all physics.
Psychology.
But see, the interesting thing is women's martial arts, I don't know, like, it's only now it's become popular, women in boxing. It never used to be.
Well, for many years they weren't allowed to.
Are you serious? And there's women playing rugby league as well.
Yeah. For many years, things like boxing, they refused to sanction it.
What's that mean?
Allowed to miss it.
Yeah.
Because women might hurt themselves in some mysterious way.
Yeah.
Women are fragile. Women might somehow hurt themselves.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure exactly what the theory was, but that was the theory.
Yeah.
They got swapped parts to men or something. Which is just a bit nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you still don't have women boxing at the Olympics yet.
You don't?
Yeah, we do now, yes. Only the last few years we have, yeah.
But there's women in the UFC.
Yeah, sorry, there are no women in the boxing, yes. But I think it was only a couple of Olympics ago.
Yeah.
Things like this, I mean, it was only in 1990 that women started running the marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Because around 1990, a bit earlier than that, women were allowed to run a marathon.
Yep.
Because they might somehow be, they're fragile, they might somehow hurt themselves.
Yeah, I don't get that, Patrick.
Well, I mean, don't know.
But, I want to say, thanks for coming on today's podcast as well.
No problem. Always happy to have a napper.
As always, having a great chat with you.
Yeah.
Oh.